What are skills and why is the complete AI industry has gone truly mad about it? If I explain in one line, skills are nothing but just a prompt which tell the AI how to do something. Now you might say if skill is just a prompt, then how is it different from the instructions normally or the prompt that we give it? So there are three main distinctions which we are going to talk about in this video, which talk about how skills are different from prompts. We'll also talk about how they are almost a killer for the MCP, and the third thing why they're getting so popular. First thing, let's talk about what are skills. So a basic AI skill looks something like this. It has a top description which talks about what this skill actually tells. Now how this helps and why this description is so important. The AI context window is limited. Earlier what models had to do is they had to be pre-trained for a particular thing, or they had to be fed a very big prompt which takes up their whole of context window. But what this description does is the AI can see a lot of different skills which it has available, and on the basis of the task which it is given, it can pick up the required skill. That's the first thing. Okay, so now this description tells the AI what this skill is about. So let's say you give it a task. Now what this skill actually contains, it is just a big prompt, but it is not just a prompt. It tells the AI how to do a particular thing and how to even validate it. So in a prompt you just say like create this web page, create this design, but the AI does not know how to create a good web page, how to test that this web page is good, or even how to create a good design. So if you have created a front end skill like this exists for Claude and different other tools, it tells the AI how to design the front end components, how to make the front end actually look good, and how to even test it that the front end created is good, so that the AI can read this skill and on the basis of it create the required page which it has to. That's the first main difference between a skill and a prompt. Second thing, a skill is not just in itself. It tells the AI what to do or how to use a particular thing. For example, a skill can be linked to a command line tool. For example, Google Workspace has a CLI. Now you can create a skill which tells Claude how to use this Google Workspace CLI. So this skill is now linked to a particular CLI and it tells how to do a particular thing. Now these skills you can use with any of the AI agent that you have. It can be Claude Code, it can be anti-gravity, it can be your own AI agent, it can be OpenClaw. Since these are just prompts with some commands with an ability to access a CLI or these kind of things, these are easily transferable to any of the AI agent. Now, how is this skill different from the MCP servers which were there? MCP is a USB-C type of connector for an AI model which it uses to make calls to the tools, different databases, make API calls, and basically connect to the world and not just remain in its own context window. Now, how these skills are replacing the MCP servers is that the problem with MCP was that the MCP follows a basic JSON RPC call format. So what happens is that the model uses an MCP client which makes a call to the MCP server and finally gets a JSON response back. Now, this JSON response can be huge and the model has to be fed this complete JSON response. It has to read the complete response. This again leads to context bloat. That's where people thought, why do we even need to do this? We can make a lot of calls using simple curl commands from CLI. Then why do we even need to make these API calls? That's where CLI came into the picture, which is much more efficient than making these API calls through JSON. So why is this efficient? For example, let's say you make a curl command and you get an output in the terminal. Now in that terminal, you can easily search for particular strings or for particular requirements using just a simple grep command. And these models are trained on a lot of commands which are run in the command line interface, and it is easily able to get the required thing from the CLI itself. That's why for a lot of purposes where MCP gives a context bloat, model can easily rely on the CLI and a skill combination. That's why people are calling these CLIs a killer for MCPs, because these along with the skill are much more efficient as compared to MCP. But that does not mean that MCPs are completely dead. Also, if you don't know about what MCPs are, I've created a video on that also, you can check it out. But this does not mean MCPs are completely dead. There are some scenarios where you definitely want an MCP server. For example, you want a persistent connection to be created to your database. That cannot be done through a CLI. That's where you need an MCP server. And in that case, using an MCP server is much more efficient as compared to using a skill and a CLI combination. So now you know what are skills, how are they used. Now, Anthropic released a lot of skills for different purposes. For example, related to law field, related to some services fields. And you would think that these are just prompts which are released. But the point is, it's not just the prompt. It tells Claude Code or the agents, whatever agents that you're using, how to perform a specific tasks. Now, these agents can create even more agents out of themselves and create a multi-agent system and use these skills to perform the exact same task which these SaaS companies were doing. That's why people are saying SaaS is dead. But how many tokens it consumes? In the description, I've added the GitHub repository and also a website where you can find a good set of skills for your AI agents.